I am broadcasting on all AM frequencies. I will be at the South Street Seaport every day at midday, when the sun is highest in the sky. If you are out there, if anyone is out there, I can provide food, I can provide shelter, I can provide security. If there's anybody out there, anybody, please, you are not alone.
Oh, we got, yeah, I can now. We got Rat Generation X in the house. Anybody else? Well, hey, what's going on, man? Anybody else want to come in and chat? Just do me a favor and wait till me and Rat talk this out. Wow, I don't even know where to start with you. I didn't even expect this.
Yeah, I'm kind of at work right now. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put on my headset.
Go for it.
So I don't get feedback.
I should probably put mine on. I don't know what the sound's like. I do have a question. When you get back.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah. When, listen, if we're in pods in 72, forget about age, forget about when we think we were born and how old we think we are and all that. If a bunch of people were put in pods in 72, when we come out of them, is it going to be 1972?
Okay, so here's what
Oh, can't hear you.
Oh, can't hear me?
Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, here's where the theory began. I wasn't looking for the meaning of life. I literally, something that happened to me 3 years ago, and it gave me a lot of clarity. And over the past year, in 2019, I started noticing a bunch of stuff from 1972, like the last moon landing, DARPA, just all this stuff that just kept coming up about 1972. And it was evident after looking at so much of the stuff that it became overwhelmingly that it led to this is what would lead into a simulation regardless.
I'm
so like even video games. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me change it.
Oh, they can't hear you either. Good. Okay, I didn't want to stop you in case they could hear.
Can you hear me better now?
It's about the same.
Yeah.
No, I can't hear you at all.
Damn, that's
what a shame. Yeah, they're all saying you're not coming through. Maybe we do it at a time when you're home.
Yeah, I don't know why you can't hear me. I'm talking loud too. Let me see if I can turn it up or something. Hold on, let me see if I can turn it up.
Go ahead. In the meantime, I ought to show you guys what I did.
What about now?
I don't know. Keep talking.
Can you guys hear me? Check. I switched the settings, so I don't know if it's better now.
Yeah, as soon as you said I'm switching the settings, something I don't know. Yeah, that's when it got better. It is better, and Tommy says that. But maybe if you talk closer to the mic and slower. God, I hate to say that.
Okay, so in all the stuff from 1972, there just seems to be everything that would lead to the outcome of we are going to eventually go into simulation all spawns from the year 1972. Everything that you know, even the last full picture of Earth was taken in the year 1972. It just doesn't make any sense that with all the satellites and all the stuff that they're showing us of all these planets in detail, that they still haven't got a clear full picture of Earth since 1972. Which was also...
Just in case people didn't get that, he's talking about the last picture that was taken of the moon was in 1972, and there's no reason that should be. Except
No,
that it's CGI.
yeah, the last full picture of Earth was taken in 1972.
Oh, why, that's not what you said? I thought you were talking about the moon.
No, the last full picture that was taken of Earth was in the year 1972.
Oh, okay.
The last time they walked on the moon was 1972. The SALT Treaty was in 1972. When they stopped mass producing nuclear weapons was in 1972. The currency changed. It was no longer backed by gold in 1972. So the currency changed. DARPA became DARPA, which if you don't know, most of your viewers must know what DARPA is. It is a branch of the military. 1972 was DARPA. Video games were created in 1972. Bill Gates' first company was made in 1972. That company, Trafco Data, became Microsoft. Alcor, the cryogenics was created in 1972. Everything that you know that shaped your reality that you live in right now happened in 1972. The Dow Jones had an explosion. There was the EMP thing that went on in 1972. And to come to find out, today somebody sent me some information that there was a CIA program, spy satellite program, called Corona in 1972.
Okay. Now, my question is, are you saying that many of 172 of us or whatever were put in pods in 1972?
Not exactly in the year 1972. The time loop that if you're going to go into a simulation, this is an inevitable thing that's going to happen. It does not prove or disprove any God, because the more technology that man creates does not change anything that has to do with a God or not a God, right? So just because we make video games, we play video games, doesn't change anything about any type of religion, right? So people think that being in a simulation automatically disproves any type of religion or any type of belief that they have. So in the simulation that is running right now is the simulation that runs from the year 1972 to the year 2020. I am the only person in the world that predicted the clear outcome of the election in detail, and it's not
Wait a minute. You said it was going to be a landslide.
That's right, and Donald Trump said that he won. Yet Donald Trump said that he won in a landslide against Hillary Clinton. Well, now the numbers are exactly reversed of Donald Trump's win 4 years ago, and they're saying on the news that Donald Trump needs to come out and say that he lost in a landslide to Joe Biden because he claimed that he won in a landslide. This is clear, proven evidence. It's not anything that's made up. It's evidence. You can go look it up on YouTube. The whole thing was Donald Trump. He is connected 100% to 1972. Him and Joe Biden, the whole thing. These are all the same players. They're the same people. Donald Trump is Richard Nixon. There is no doubt about it. If you look up Richard Nixon 1972 and look up New World Order 1972 Richard Nixon, he welcomed China to the New World Order. There's a video on YouTube with Richard Nixon's voice saying that. Donald Trump is trying to get us into a war, and I don't take any sides as far as politics is with the Democrats or Republicans. So I'm literally in the middle.
Same.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's all the same anyway. It doesn't matter. Their agendas are going to come to the same thing, I see, anyway. Maybe there's something else going on. I only want to get into that. That's why I was doing this.
Yeah, that's okay. So what questions did you have that I can help you understand more of what's going on?
Well, what I'm trying to get at is, let's assume you're right across the board. When we come out of these pods at the end of the year, what year will it be?
There's no way to tell what year you're going to come out. The way cryogenics works, and here's what a lot of people need to understand. You do remember that Walt Disney himself was frozen, right? Everybody pretty much, I'm sure you guys remember that when he supposedly passed away, that he had his body cryostate frozen. I mean, you don't get any bigger than Walt Disney himself.
And that was in 1972, right?
I don't know what year that was. I have no idea what year he actually was frozen.
I actually think that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I said not for nothing, but 1972 was the first year I went to Disney World. 1972, you ready for this? This is stuff coming to me right now. 1972, I was 7 years old. I saw Michael Jackson live.
I saw Michael Jackson at Disney World.
The Jackson 5.
I saw him there when he did Moonwalker.
Well, I saw him at Great Adventure in New Jersey in 1972, I believe it was. Yeah.
So here's how the simulation works, Susso, so that you understand. If you're in Alcor, you go there because you have some type of an illness. You have a life-threatening illness, a cancer that's going to kill you regardless. If you were told today that you would die in a few months, and you had the option from a cancer that they cannot cure right now, but in the future they may be able to cure this cancer. If you're given the option to go into cryostasis, to have your body frozen and preserved until the time that they can cure you, when they can thaw you out. So let's say it could be in 150 years from now. During that time, while your body is in the cryostasis chamber, while it's frozen, your mind has to be stimulated, and your mind has to still continue functioning. So what they do is they put your mind inside of a simulation, inside a simulated world. The best way to do that is to pick a time frame to run a simulation, to get a simulation to run. In other words, the year 1972 to 2020. And when 2020 is up, it just will go back to 1972 again, and you'll continue to keep living out this simulation over and over until the time comes that they can actually cure your body, and then you will wake up just like you woke up in surgery, but in the natural world. This is technology that's already created right now. It exists right now. So to think that it's not possible that you're in a simulation when quantum physics and physicists are already saying the same thing that I'm telling you. The only difference is they have not found the time glitch. The time glitch is 1972, and it's directly connected to the year 2020.
Are you saying they put us in these pods and they weren't done with them?
No, you paid to go into Alcor. So you paid to go into it because something was wrong with you.
Okay, now if I was a child, I did not pay. My parents did.
Exactly. There's a 4-year-old little Chinese girl right now who's in Alcor. Something was wrong with her, and her parents had her body frozen until they can get the cure for her. And when they actually are able to come up with a cure of whatever ails this little girl, they will thaw her out and then they will cure her of whatever's wrong with her, and she will resume life.
So you've seen Vanilla Sky, right?
Yes, Vanilla Sky is a great movie.
I thought it was a great movie too. It's kind of similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't understand Vanilla Sky until later on. And if you pay attention to Vanilla Sky, they say a dog was frozen in Arizona and thawed out and brought back to life. Well, Alcor was founded in 1972 and it's in Scottsdale, Arizona. The movie that you're talking about, Vanilla Sky, is about Alcor. In fact, Cameron Diaz was born in the year 1972, and had Tom Cruise not gotten in the car with Cameron Diaz, he would not have ended up disfigured and going into Alcor that was created in 1972. So the movie is actually giving you clues.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The other thing is, you said the best way to put somebody in a program was, and it was between these years or something, 72 and 2020. Wouldn't it be easier to do something that was in the past?
Like what?
Well, what I'm saying is, what if we're in the future and we're having issues and we need to go into a program, so they progress it past something that they already know that they can program?
I agree with you. That's a good possibility. But the year 1972 is definitely a time glitch to showing you that that's when the program began. So like we all understand right now, everybody that's listening right now understands that 2020 is an historical year. Do we all agree on that?
Well, I agree because I have my own personal things going on with it.
Well, the news and everybody else is saying that this year is a historical year with the virus, with the elections, with the fact that they're saying that next year is going to be a reset. We had 5G rollout this year. The currency is going to most likely change to digital currency next year. This is a historical year. So yes, if you wanted to go back in time and you wanted to see what led up to this historical event, what led up to this historical year, 1972 is a good starting point to play it all the way out to 2020.
I see. I want to just say, I guess. So I don't know. So we ain't got long to wait if that's the case. Okay. Now, you also mentioned that some people may continue on past 2020.
Yes, it's a possibility that the simulation will keep running after the year 2020, goes into 2021. It looks like, with all the evidence of 1972 linked to 2020 and all the things that began in 1972 and that they're ending in 2020, I keep doing these videos called Hindsight is 2020, which is funny because we've all heard that term our whole life, that hindsight is 2020. Well, now we're starting to see like how a lot of things led up to this year, and a lot of those things are connected to 1972. I have viewers all the time sending me stuff about, hey, this thing happened in 1972 and now this person's dead, or this thing started in 1972 and now it doesn't exist in the year 2020. They discontinued it. So, yeah, it's very good possibility that we can go into the year 2021, but you're still looking at a historical time loop from 1972 to 2020, regardless. And either which way you look at it, even let's say that I could be completely wrong about all this, it still would be a good preserving of time, and it would eventually go into insinuation if anybody wanted to go back and look at the events that happened in 1972. Okay, so not Bernie Sanders, but Joe Biden. 1972, Joe Biden was elected as the youngest senator in the Senate in the year 1972. His wife and his daughter died in that year.
Sacrifice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I figured they were a sacrifice of some sort.
Yeah, whichever way. I mean, it doesn't. The only thing that matters is the facts of what happened, right? So in the year 2020, right before the elections were, when he was on election night, Joe Biden went to the gravesite of not just his son Beau, but he went to the grave sites of his daughter and his child from 1972. In 1972, Donald Trump was under investigation for not bringing to black people. So they were calling him a racist in the same year that Joe Biden was getting sympathy and got elected as the youngest senator into office. Now Joe Biden is elected as the oldest president ever, and Donald Trump, a part of the reason why he lost his presidency was being not being sensitive and for racist issues that he had after George Floyd. So there's links between these years of 1972 and 2020.
I'm just all the synchronicities, no coincidences, which I don't believe in coincidence. So many coincidences with this 72 thing. I'm just not grasping why okay, I guess no. Okay, that's the hint. That's the clue. Because I'm sitting there, why 72? And but I guess that's the clue. So some people are supposed to figure out. Listen, I'm getting. We just kind of just met within the last couple of months on YouTube, so I'm quite sure you probably don't even know I wrote a book about my experiences. But a lot of the things that happened to me, I'm looking back on now going, yeah, this could be a computer program, and maybe I was supposed to actually exit the pod in 2015, or what is 2015 to me, after when I impaled myself, but didn't know it, because not long after that, I had characters coming out of the TV screen asking me what I was waiting for. And I just kept saying, to myself, I mean, besides crapping myself and running in the other room and hitting pause and everything else, I'm thinking, well, why don't you just tell me what I'm supposed to do? What's with all the riddles? Why are you asking me what I'm waiting for? Tell me what I'm waiting for. Tell me. I mean, I kind of get it now, because I'm like, what was I waiting for? And I still feel like I could do all these spiritual things that I've learned throughout my life and get out of this. Stop smoking the weed, stop drinking, no masturbation, stop eating meat, think properly, don't gossip. I mean, these are the things that the orbs gave me. They gave me all this information of things to do. And I guess I really am a human, because I was like, are you kidding me? I gotta stop eating meat was number one. Stop eating meat was number two. No more release of sexual energy was number three. How important is number one and number two? Especially if I'm in a simulation in a pod.
How many times have you had memories of dying?
I missed that.
Have you ever had any other memories of dying?
In the book, I write 3 instances where I believe I should have died, but just blew it off.
Okay, so if you're in a time loop, right? Like if you keep going through the time loop, there's possibilities that many times you have died inside of the time loop in between the years 1972 and 2020. That your simulation, you have died in that simulation, and what you're doing is you're having memories of the old simulations that you went through. So if you're having memories that you died before, or you actually feel like it's real, then it's just residue that's bleeding over. See, what you gotta understand is it doesn't mean that you're not a real person.
Okay, good. But I'm open enough to say I could be an NPC, dude. I mean, it doesn't matter. If I am, what am I going to do about it? That's what people are like, oh my God, you gotta do this and do this, and because of God and all. I'm like, look, God could blink me out of existence if He wants it. It don't matter. Come on. What am I going to do about it? If I'm an NPC or if I'm freaking John the Baptist? What's the difference? Hello.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. Sorry, I'm at work. I'm trying to get the paperwork done.
I appreciate you doing this, guy. This is great at work and everything.
Yeah. So the thing is, what you got. Like I said, I did a video that addresses whether a God exists or doesn't exist if you're in a simulation.
It doesn't matter. You're saying it doesn't matter in here?
No, it still would matter, because your body is still being preserved and your mind is still being preserved in a cryostasis chamber. So if you believe in God, if you have a God that you believe in, when you went into that cryostasis chamber, it will affect how you conduct yourself inside of a simulation. It doesn't change anything.
Okay, I'm under the impression that memory I had of my father taking us under the blanket to McDonald's and out, and I don't really remember what happened there. I mean, I remember 72 is the year we put Snooper to sleep. Of course, I was told he ran away. After that McDonald's trip, I'm speculating that's when we went into the pods. And if that happened as a child, this time could be fast, it could be slow. Doesn't mean I spent 48 years in the pod. It could have been a year, it could have been a week, it could have been 10 years. Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah, look, when you go into, so let's say, I explained it in my video that if you're went into the pod in 2006, or if you were born in 2006 and you went into a pod like 2020 or whatever, 2021 or 2025, it doesn't matter. You're still going to live out those years between 1972 and 2020. For you, in your case, you remember all the way back to the year 1972, which means most likely that you were alive during that time. So every time you live out this simulation, you're always going to have vivid memories of the beginning of 1972 all the way up till the year 2020. The stuff that I'm talking about is not popular. It's not anything anybody wants to hear. Nobody wants to hear the fact that they're living out a time loop. It's an unattractive thing to talk about. But there are facts that prove that you're in a simulation. There are scientists who are proving that you're in a simulation. I'm kind of
saying that.
Yeah.
And my memories are already suspect, and there's one that I have that kind of freaks me out. I remember being a teenager and thinking, wow, I would really like to, something just fell out of the sky. Size of a bird. When I was a teenager, I had a thought that I really wanted to make it, I really wanted to see the year 2000. I really wanted to live into the year 2000, and I really wanted to experience that, because everybody was like, oh, it's the end of the world, and blah, blah, blah. And that's a vague thought right now. I don't remember anybody ever saying the year 2000 was the end of the world. But I have this memory of when I was a teenager, I really wanted to experience 2000, and I thought, wow, I'll be 55 years old. That's not that. I should be able to make that. I'm 55 now. It's 2020. But I know I had that thought. There's no way. Even if I said, oh, I'll be 65 or 75, or why would I worry about making it to the year 2000 and I'm 20 years off? Because I was 35. I wouldn't have been walking around as a teenager going, God, I hope it might make it to the age 35.
There's no telling how old you were when you went into Alcor and had to preserve your body. You could have literally been 9 years old, man.
You could have been literally how old?
You could have been 11 years old when you went to Alcor and frozen. There's no way to know until they actually wake you up. But it's a technology that is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's already happened. Yeah.
That's another thing that got me with technology and the way it grows. AI, the way, even if I don't really believe AI could get to the point where the movies say it, or maybe it could. I don't know. But if technology keeps advancing the way it is, yeah, at some point. That's why I won't. They got this game downstairs at the bar, and they put the head thing. Yes, they put the VR thing on. They got it on the big screen TV. You see what's going on. I won't put that thing on because. See, for me, it's like I just figure I'll never take it off, and I'll just play the game all the time. I'm compulsive like that. I won't put that stuff on, not even to look at it. I'm very interested. I'm very intrigued, but wow, I wonder how realistic it is. Well, I see how realistic it is on the TV. I don't need to put that on.
You know why I don't put that VR headset on? Because the technology for it is extremely crude in this timeline. There will be a time when you put those VR headsets on and you will not be able to tell the difference between reality and a virtual reality.
We could be doing that right now.
You are doing that right now. That's the reason why you cannot tell the difference. Your mind is in this state. The company DARPA, that agency renamed itself to DARPA in 1972. They have already created that technology years ago. It's proven. I put it in videos. You can research it. It's already done. They can interject thoughts in your mind without even putting a chip in your brain.
Question.
That's technology that exists right now in this timeline.
If they're trying to wake me up and I'm not coming out, is that possible?
I have no idea. I can't make up a lot of stuff. I can only give you the facts and what things
Okay.
in research.
I'm glad you said that. I wasn't trying to, because I just thought to myself with them saying, with the guy coming out of the TV screen, it was Christian Bale going, "What are you waiting for?" To me, I'm like, wow, am I really that programmed into physical reality that I'm just not going to leave?
So if you ever have surgery, when you're knocked out during surgery, you cannot force yourself to stay in unconsciousness
Okay.
when they inject the serum into you to wake you up. That's exactly how L4 and cryostasis works.
Okay, you can't get stuck.
No,
I guess that's what I'm getting at.
The best thing I can tell everybody is to enjoy your time as much as possible while you're here. What you make of it, there's going to be trials and tribulations, because without those things happening, without bad shit happening to us, sorry about the language, without bad stuff happening to us,
Curse on my channel.
we would not accept it as a reality. In other words, if you had a Paris Hilton lifestyle, you would not be doing any of this research anyhow, because you would just be, just living in La La Land.
The first Matrix was a perfect
example.
The first Matrix was perfect, and the humans didn't accept the programming. Isn't that what they say in the movie?
Exactly.
All right, yeah. I could see that. Because I'm not. I don't want to say this the wrong way, or and like I really think, whoa, I do control some of this of what's going on, because I've created and failed, and I succeeded, and everything else. So I do feel like, I need to watch some of the stuff I say. So whatever I was about to say, I wasn't supposed to, because I forgot.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and I'm starting to understand that while we're here, the more I understand being in simulation, the more I'm trying to even be a better person, because it's actually helping me remap my mind before I come out of the simulation, because we don't know what type of a person we were when we came in here. Any freely jerk could have $80,000 or $180,000 and go to Alco and say, "Hey, I want to be crowd preserved," and until whatever. Where do you think Rockefeller ended up? Everybody thinks Rockefeller's dead. He didn't die a natural death. You don't think that these people who are extremely wealthy, who are like have all this money, have not researched a way to cheat death? And there's going to be a technology eventually where they'll be able to clone your body. And I'm not saying I know this for a fact, but it definitely looks that it's heading this way. If you pay attention to the science and you pay attention to research, there will eventually be technology where you'll be able to clone your body, clone yourself. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, so eventually there'll be technology to clone yourself, and they can raise that body to whatever years. Let's say in your best years, for some people maybe 30 years old. If you're if you're like a 95-year-old, billionaire who has a lot of money, you can tell them, "Hey, I want to be cryostasis frozen until you can clone a body exactly of who I am right now, and take my mind out of this body, as this old dying, decaying body, and put it into my younger self." Okay, well, that technology will be available to you, Mr. Rockefeller, in about 50, 60 years. Well, I don't have 50, 60 years, so I'll live out as long as I can now, and when the time comes, I'll come and you guys can freeze me, and if when those years in 65, when you're able to have my body using my own cells, cloning my body, bringing a new, fresh 35 to 30-year-old Rockefeller, take my mind out of this body and put it in that body. Sure, we can do that. Bam. This is technology that's already being done.
And that brings to mind that it could be other things. It doesn't have to just be that, does it? It can be other things. This could be they could use that as a prison.
Yeah, it's true. It could be used as a prison too. And I've thought about that as well.
It could be used, Yeah, I mean, for everything, might not, you might be dying. What else? I was thinking, why would my parents put all three of their children in cryo?
I have no idea. But do you remember the movie
Hypothetically,
Demolition Man? Speaking of prison,
all I'm thinking is hypothetically, what would be a reason to put all of your children? I don't know, because that's what keeps coming back to me. I don't know why.
I can't say for your situation in that, but when you're talking about this could be a prison, you do, most of you, I'm sure, remember the movie Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone.
I don't think I've ever actually watched that whole thing. It never really appealed to me. Come on, tell me about it.
Okay, so in that movie, what they were doing is, in the past, which would be pretty much our president at the time, I think that it was like 95 or whatever, I think that movie came out. What they were doing is, if you committed a crime, instead of putting you in jail, they would freeze you for, 100 years. So they put the body in a cryostasis chamber and freeze the body. I don't know if anybody on your watching has ever seen that movie. But they've been talking about cryonically freezing people for a long time because it came out in 1972.
So that's when the technology started. So and somebody in chat did mention they were born later than that. I believe we already had that discussion that it doesn't matter what year you were born. That's just the timeline where that's programmed for us to live through.
Exactly. So let's say that the person was born in 1985, right? And they actually went into Alcor in the year 2025. When they go into the Alcor in the year 2025, and they ask to be frozen because of whatever reasons that they want to do, this is another way for you to leapfrog through time as well. But anyhow, so if they go in there and have to be frozen, well, they're going to put you in a simulation that in the years that you actually are familiar with. They're not going to put you in a simulation with years that your mind was never familiar with, because it would be hard for the mind to process that. So if you live in between the years 1972 and the years of 2020, regardless of how further in the future, maybe it's 2060, but you actually were born in 2010, okay? You're going to go into a simulation that's going to be recognizable to you, that you will understand, which is the one 1972 and 2020.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. That makes more sense. Yeah, I get that. I'm just trying to think of other things they're going to do. Why would people want to be frozen? Illness. Maybe they just want to see the future.
Yeah, that's another thing that I said too. That cryostasis, going into a cryostasis chamber is a nice way to leapfrog through time. Let's say you were to go into Alcor and you said, "Hey, my life is so distraught that I'm on the brink of suicide. Like, I'm on the brink of just killing myself because I've lost everybody and everything around me. I don't have anything. I'm done with this world. I'm done." And I just and the only thing I can think of is to come to you guys and to go in a cryostasis chamber and just freeze me for 200 years. Well, if you get frozen at the age of, let's say, 48 years old, and you go into a cryostasis chamber and they thaw you out 200 years from now, you are still 400 years old, or you're still 48 years old 200 years later into the future. That means that you time travel.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a very interesting topic, and I'm kind of understanding it more now talking with you live. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
And then as far as going backwards in time, because I've been thinking about this a lot, that if it's possible to go backwards in time, because I can understand how easy it is to leapfrog through time by being frozen and thawed out and still being the same age, because you're not going to age while you're frozen. But in 1972, there was a scientist, as well as Stephen Hawking in 1972, which I also just looked this up. They discovered that black holes held entropy. Entropy meant that the black holes actually hold an infinite amount of information. In other words, whatever a black hole sucks up, let's say a black hole sucks up the planet Earth. When it sucks in the planet Earth, everything that happened in that planet, in theory, is actually inside of that black hole. So that an alien civilization would be able to actually, and this is going way onto a whole other subject, sorry guys, but an alien civilization would be able to extract that information and to see the past and to see what went on that planet, because that's what a black hole can do. And that theory came out in the year 1972. So if you look at black hole entropy 1972, you'll find that there's facts of that too. If you look at Stephen Hawking's 1972, you'll find out he was talking about the same stuff with black holes.
What do you think? You think we could come out of these ponds and discover there really is outer space? And we really live on a ball? I'm cracking up going, wow, what if this whole flat earth thing is because it's a simulation? Well, it is a simulation, whatever. But a lot of people are coming across the flat earth information because it's not the real world.
The flat earth theory makes a lot of sense if you're in a simulation, absolutely. Because the last time they got a clear, full picture of Earth was in the year 1972. That's when the map was set. Whatever the Earth looked like in 1972, that's what it's stuck at right now. Because you cannot get a full, clear picture of Earth today in the year 2020.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, I guess simulation or not, I'm pretty sure that was CGI or drawn.
Mm-hmm.
But still, why didn't they draw more?
So the way to explain it is, I don't know if you're into video games, but I've been playing video games.
I won't stop playing them. Poker, that's about as close as I get to any kind of video game is poker.
So if any of your viewers on right now are listening, if you've ever played video games where you can actually create a zone or an area or a map for your character to play in, well, you create that map, and once you get the map created, then it stays that way. You do not change it. Because once you start opening it up online for other people to log in and play on your server, play in your game, they're going to play on that map, and that map has to stay that way. And that makes sense, the reason why we haven't got any full clear pictures of Earth since 1972.
Wow. Okay, yeah. This is so basically all we're really to do is just enjoy ourselves as best we can.
That's my advice. Enjoy yourself as best you can. I would say try to, for this person is,
Lost you there. You're doing really well.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, here's the problem that I get on my channel with a lot of viewers. They get upset because I keep telling them that there's a time loop from 1972 to 2020, and they don't want to believe that the year 2020 is going to be the end. Well, I don't tell people to live like 2020 is going to be the end. I tell you to live like there's going to be a 2021. I am prepared for a 2021. The time glitch from 1972 and 2020 shows evidence that it looks like this may be the end of something. The simulation, going into a time loop, going back to 1972. But my suggestion to everybody is to enjoy the time you have while you're here, to be the best that you possibly can be, especially if this is the end of the time loop. If we're coming up to the end of 2020 and we're about to go back to 1972, right now would be the best time for you to love as many people as you can and be as good a person as you can, just in case. And if not, and 2021 comes up, well, guess what? You just become a better person anyhow.
Yeah. Hey, listen. We reset back to 72, are we going back in age and losing all the memories and everything as well? You would suspect. Yeah, because that would just be another. It's just going to keep running until it's time for you to come out.
That is correct. You'll pick right back up where you left off, where you began the simulation. In other words, if you were alive, if you were born before the year 1972, after 2020 is up, you will wake up back at 1972. If you were born in the year 1985, at the end of the year 2020, you will wake up in the year 1985 as a baby in 1985.
All right. Here, let me, Patrick Roberts, our new timeline, Lone Rings 1. Thanks for jumping in. I'm going to go ahead and post the link here. Tell me, that's his link there, I think. I think that's the last one I had there. Yeah, because now I'm thinking, okay, so what I want to do is retain my memories. When I wake up in 72 as a 7-year-old kid, I want to go, oh man, that was one heck of a dream, and start writing it down. I don't know. Would I even want those memories? Would I want to know? Oh my God, I gotta live another. I gotta go 48 more years and do this again. But if I knew, and you did say something about the 172, or being able to create or manipulate the things going on around them.
Yeah, I think it's up subconsciously, because I try not to talk about stuff that I can't prove. Okay. But I've had things that happen to me where I'm not saying that I wish for a pot of gold and it pops up. It doesn't work like that. Like, I literally had thought of something, and then all of a sudden it happened. And it wasn't me having a desire or a fear of a thing happening.
I hear what you're saying. Because listen, I hear what you're saying, because I read about a lot of this stuff going on now in the 80s. Aliens and all the fake alien invasion I heard about in the 80s, for crying out loud. And, I mean, all this, I didn't know it was going to be a virus, but that was probably one of the things that was brought up. There was a bunch of different scenarios from, like, Vladimir Valerian books, William Cooper books, these people that I was reading back then. So all this stuff, I figured already. I built such a momentum of those beliefs, being a conspiracy guy and a truther, or whatever you want to call it. There's so much momentum, I figured it's got to happen. Is that the same kind of thing you're talking about?
I'm not really sure what you're getting at. As far as, like, all the conspiracies that eventually those things would occur and manifest.
Well, I'm saying I became aware of the conspiracies. I became aware of the one world order. I became aware of a takeover of the world, and I just, after a while, I became complacent about it, thinking, there's no way they could do it.
Yeah, being skeptical is very easy if you're living in a simulation anyhow, because of the fact that a lot of things don't add up, and those things start making you already question the reality around you. Well, why would there be so much questioning about the reality around you if there's not a possibility that your reality isn't real? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. I really don't.
I love what you brought to the table. To me, it's like you brought this to the table with the Mandela effect. I did a whole video on, hey, let's look at this from another perspective, and it was all about your theories. And I'm really not getting, or I wasn't at the time getting it. Now I kind of get it, and I kind of find it interesting, whether it's because I'm thinking, you know what? In that case, because I was, going, I need to be open enough to think I might be an NPC. Now, if I was an NPC, I probably wouldn't be into it the way I am, even by myself alone, into this stuff and all. And I'm open to so many things, so I'm like, no, you know what? This is making a lot more sense to me. But I don't see. I think it would be really neat. It's the best way I could describe it. It would be really neat if this whole thing reset back to 72 as a program, 72 to 2020, not as in it really happened that way. And I just they just open up the pod or whatever you think it is when it's time for you to come out, and it could be hundreds of years. I mean,
Yeah, it could be hundreds of years. Who knows? Like I said, it's an attractive thing what I'm talking about and the stuff that I'm presenting to people. But I present all that stuff off of fact, but it's definitely not something that anybody really wants to be like in, because you don't know what you're going to wake up to. I'm
you
going
don't.
to say, go ahead.
You know, I'm saying you don't want that. You want this to be real, right? Or
Yeah,
you would. I mean, you would think. I mean, maybe it sucks, but I mean, you'd think, well, shit, this is what I feel like. This is real. You want this to be real, but if it's not. Um, See, I didn't give up, but I did surrender to a lot. There's a lot of things that I think this is key, and I've done a video on it. I've stopped doing a lot of things I enjoy doing just because I needed to protest. I needed to stop. I'm going, wait a minute, if this ain't real, then, watching baseball games ain't real. Going to a baseball game isn't real. I didn't have to worry about that with the quarantine shit, but that's where I was going. I was getting to spectator sports just causes separation. God, I love my baseball. It's like it's pointless. We need to get away from that. This is one of those things that I think, wow, this COVID thing's really doing a lot of positive things. And I've talked with people about this, but I go, look, this is what I see. I don't really think this, but they're talking about taking meat out of everybody's diet. Well, number one and number two on the list for me was to stop eating meat. They're not letting people interact. I don't think that's a good thing, but it was on my list. Spectator sports causing separation. We can't go to baseball games. That actually, if you look at it, is a good thing. It's causing separation. We don't need that. Am I going to the extreme with all that?
No. Okay, so what you're talking about the separation, this all happened in the year 2020, right? Like, so there has not been such a great separation from other humanity until this year, the year 2020, which
Okay.
is getting your mind ready for a great reset, right? So, geez, I'm getting a teaser. Anyhow, so like, if we are in a simulation and we're in a time loop, your mind has to de-escalate in whatever the end of the time loop is going to be. So if the year 2020 is the end of the time loop, the best way to kind of separate you from the reality, and that's another thing too, you are in a real reality right now. Like everything around you is real inside of this reality, but you come from a natural reality. That's what I said. Like, when people say, like, if somebody says that they believe that there's things crawling under their skin and they're digging at their skin, they believe there's something there. In their mind, that is their reality and it's real to them. So whatever your mind is perceiving as reality, it is a reality. But as far as the year 2020 and getting ready for what they keep telling you, a great reset, it's just funny that they're talking about a great reset during a time when they're separating people as much as possible. When they're trying to disconnect you from everyone else around you into, even when you watch football games, right? You see in the stands, you don't see real people out there anymore. You see cardboard cutouts. They are trying to separate your mind from the world that you know right now in the year 2020. So when you wake up in 1974, in between the years 1972 and 2020, it's an easy way to disconnect from this reality that you're inside of this loop now. Does that make sense?
So you're saying they're weaning us off?
Yeah, you have to have a de-escalation for the mind. It has to have you can't just hard cut a brain out of a simulation. You can't just shut it off. There has to be a de-escalation. There has to be some type of way to get the mind set for a reset, which is what they keep saying. Time magazine was about to put out a cover last month, actually a couple weeks ago, that said the Great Reset. Look it up. It's on. You can look it up on the internet. They show the cover. It says the Great Reset. Why do they keep talking about a Great Reset in the year 2020? The song "Lean on Me" came out in the year 1972 by Bill Withers. "Lean on Me" is the most well-known song that we all know that is about touching somebody, being their friend, leaning on them. "Lean on Me" came out in 1972 by Bill Withers. Bill Withers died in the year 2020. When he died, they were saying how that song was so important to a bunch of nurses and stuff during a time when you can't even lean on anybody anymore. Things that happened in 1972 and created in 1972 are coming to an end in the year 2020. The song "I Can See Clearly Now" was created in the year 1972. That man just died. My viewers just told me that man just died last month. I think it was like about a month or so ago. And in that song, if you listen to some of the lyrics are almost talking about you in the year 2020, when you can, hindsight is 2020. You can see clearly when you have when your vision is 2020. It's just funny that a song came out in 1972 about seeing clearly, and the man dies in the year 2020.
Okay, so all these songs that came out in 72, in reality, they may have come out in any year. They just planted these in the program as hints, clues, signs.
It's a time glitch. It's a problem in the program. All these things did not happen, I don't believe, in the year 1972. It seems impossible.
So do you think they did it on purpose?
No, I don't think that they did it on purpose. I think it's a time glitch. I think in the program, that's how the program recognizes the beginning of it. And that's why the end of everything's happening in this year, in 2020, because those are time glitches. It's a glitch in the program. You're not supposed to know it. You're not supposed to see it. The last time man walked on the moon was in the year 1972. Well, the song "Rocket Man" by Elton John came out in 1972. The song "Starman" by David Bowie came out in 1972. The song "Dark Side of the whole "Dark Side of the Moon" from Pink Floyd was done in 1972. They were running all over the place doing a concert of the Dark Side of the Moon in 19. Yeah, I know, I see it, Bobby. I absolutely love their music, and I love Dark Side of the Moon. I love the whole soundtrack. But if you listen to that whole soundtrack, they talked about a lot of the stuff that's happening right now in this year. Even George Floyd's death was talked about in one of their songs. I think either Us and Them or the song "Time," where they're talking about breathe. And then in this year, right after George Floyd was killed, the lead singer from the band, from Pink Floyd, came out and spoke out about George Floyd's death. And it's just funny that all their music from 1972 reflected of all the stuff that's happening right now. Even DARPA, like the stuff at the end of the song, "Dark Side of the Moon" or "Lunatic." It's a lot of stuff that's almost like, if you listen to that song, it's telling you all that you see, all that you touch, all that you are, all that for everyone that you hate, everyone that you love. You know how I keep going through all that? Well, listen to that song again and think about your entire life. Think about your life.
Quite sure I have. I'm quite sure I've done that with that song.
It's just bizarre. That song came out in 1972, and you live in a simulation. And that song would be reflecting of talking about being in a simulation.
Yeah, I'm just still trying to correlate. The program is from 72 to 2020. You could have been born at any time at all. That's just, you're going to experience that because that's the most familiar in your brain. Now, coming out, you're saying, okay, they're not going to do a hard shit. They're going to kind of wean us off, but we're not supposed to know. But wouldn't, for some of us, the way we act, the way I am programmed, wouldn't telling me the truth be a good way to wean me off?
Do you mean once you get out of it, once you're out there, once you come, when they wake you up outside of your pod?
Uh-oh. I think I lost you.